Hey y'all, this is Dr. Traci Harrell, and you are watching Better Together and Living Powerfully. And we are live at the National Black MBA Association's National Conference. We had an amazing day today. Wow. Leaders from all around the country got together from our 41 plus chapters. I don't know if it's 40 or 42. But let's just say it was so powerful. It's my favorite time of the year when you get together with people that are absolutely focused on truly changing the status quo. And that's what we did. And today was really a grounding. It was kind of a reminder of who we are and why we do what we do. So I'm here at the Marriott downtown in Philadelphia. And what I can tell you, whew, when you're living in purpose, by definition, you're living powerfully. When you're doing work that is going to change the lives of others, that is my definition of what better together means. So, one of the things I'm going to share is we have a video series that we did, and we did this work. Um, I'd say we, I think what probably got me most excited. This organization has been around for 52 years, and I personally have been involved for over. I stopped counting at 25, so I'm gonna say I was in college at the time, and someone from this organization came to me and helped me to realize what it meant to be successful. That's also what I think living powerfully is all about. Is when we learn a thing, it's our responsibility to pay it forward, to help others. So the National Black MBA Association is also about mentorship, sponsorship, family. And one of the organizations that or programs that we support as a part of this organization is called Leaders of Tomorrow. It's a program that's been around for over 30 years, and it's focused on high school students. We also have a program that's focused on undergraduate students. We have a program that's focused on college students. And when I say focus on, I mean that changes their lives forever, changes the trajectory of their lives. So, Leaders of Tomorrow, some of our chapters actually have experience with high school students where no one in the family have gone to college. And not only do they graduate from college, some of them have a high 90 something percent, 97% I heard from some chapters about people in their organization, students that not only go on to graduate, but then have children who now assume that college is their birthright, that that is the path for them. And that's really about community, having those wraparound services and the supports and the mentorship and really showing up in community like it is your destiny to be great. So part of what we wanted to do for this Living Powerfully series is to talk about our destiny. There's so many things I could do. I could show a bunch of videos, which we will on some other times. But right now, what I wanted to do is to share a timeline. That's right. We have an actual vision, a clear vision on how to lead with purpose. And you might ask, what exactly are we leading? Well, if you think about an organization that was founded 4 years ago, I'll say 54 years ago. It was founded in 1970. My birthday is 1969. Uh, so I understand that it's been a lifetime, right? An actual lifetime. And so what happened when this organization was being founded, you had people that were graduating from colleges, where previously they weren't even allowed to go to college, graduating, getting into the business world, and experiencing less than optimal circumstances, right? That's probably where the beginning of the idea of unconscious bias, but it could have been conscious bias at that point. We like to say it's unconscious, but I'm not so sure. But anyway, they were experiencing I like to use the term shenanigans, right? Less than equal um, spaces, less than equal treatment, less than equal outcomes. And what's really interesting is things have absolutely gotten better to a certain extent, for sure. But I just want to establish a little bit of a call to action, right? I have documents that I'll share on other sessions. Today, I'm just going to chat a little bit. I want to make sure people are very clear what the expectations of this program is. I want to clarify what is the Better Together Empowerment Series and what exactly does the living powerfully experience, what does that consist of? But as you know, before you start any endeavor, you have to start with why. Why is this even important? Why is this needed? Why might one say that the Better Together Empowerment Series is something that people need? Why? That's why I started telling you about the National Black MBA Association. Once again, founded 52 years ago based on economic and intellectual empowerment. One of my favorite people is one of the co-founders. I think he might be the only living co-founder, Dr. Alex Gavin. You will meet him while we're here at the conference. We will absolutely be spending some quality time with him on the show, talking about his experience. He has great stories. You know, he likes to use an analogy about the elevator, like an escalator. And he says, Dr. Alex Gavin, co-founder of the National Black MBA Association, what he says is we did this not expecting all of what it is today. They didn't know what they were expecting, but they knew one thing. They knew it was better for them to do the work together, period. They knew that they were all having a common experience that oftentimes people did not want to talk about. Hmm, that never happens. Or is it happening right now? Is it a repeat of history? Are we having experiences in the corporate space that we don't necessarily like to talk about? When people talk about unconscious bias, what we hear is something that sounds somewhat harmless from an academic perspective, that is. But what you hear from some of the videos that I've done, some of the interviews that I've done, is that it can be absolutely traumatic, life-changing, even. And so again, the organization was founded in 1970 because they knew it was better to do this work together. So we just celebrated, we as a community, black, white, red, all of us, we just celebrated on August 28th, the 60th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington. And the theme for that period, for that day or that weekend, the launch was Dream Unfinished. Not a commemoration, but a continuation. Can you hear me? Not a commemoration. We're not just celebrating that a march happened. No, no, no. Uh-uh. August 28th was the continuation, the continuation. So what we're doing right now with the Better Together Empowerment Series, the Living Powerfully experience is all about, this is about changing the status quo, right? So if the theme for MLK, the kickoff on August 28th, if that theme, if it was Dream Unfinished, not a commemoration, but a continuation, then as you can imagine, we're focused on being committed to continuing the dream in 2020 through 2023 and into 2024 and beyond. So again, the theme now, as we move forward, we'll continue to talk about the dream unfinished because I think it's important to flash back and remember what King Martin Luther King was fighting for. Right? What was he doing? Why was it so important? that he marched on Washington, that he pulled people together from all around the country to do this work. Well, guess what? We're doing the same thing with a little bit more ease. This is your call to action. This Better Together Empowerment series is about each of us empowering each other and empowering ourselves. The empowering ourselves part is built through the Living Powerfully experience. Right? There's some work I'm going to talk about separately. Right now, I'm going to focus the first half of this conversation on the Better Together Empowerment series, what we're going to be doing with this show, what we're going to be doing in general throughout the next year and beyond, is really focusing on being committed to continuing the dream. Now, you might be wondering, well, what does this have to do with me? Or who exactly are you hoping to inspire? Well, I can tell you that the National Black MBA Association collectively, we hosted and we continue to host think tanks. And each think tank is about bringing together corporate partners, collegiate partners, civic organizations, professionals at all levels, community at large, to focus on addressing and finding solutions for specific challenges. One of the challenges that I remember, and I remember vividly, was this idea of how do we increase the number of Black professionals in executive and leadership roles? If I flash back, that was back in 2017, by the way, and it wasn't like that question hadn't come up. It was like, how do we create very clear solutions? Now, I was working at Microsoft at the time. I was just making sure. Yes, I was working. When did that happen? So I was working for Microsoft at the time, but I had this calling, and I remember we were in a big room, 250 individuals, and what it was all about was how do we, as an individual, how do each of us show up to truly drive change? How do we drive change for you? How do we drive change for the next generation? What do we do to truly change the status quo? Question was simple. And what was interesting, there was no new, there were plenty of solutions, but nobody was shocked by any of the results. And it's so interesting. My niece and a few others were talking about some experiences that they had had in the corporate space. And I think the quote that I remember the most from a young person was that it was tragic, traumatic, but not at all a surprise. Did you hear me? Tragic, traumatic, but not at all a surprise. Y'all, we can do better than that. So the Better Together Empowerment series really is about empowering each of us to decide that today is the day, this is your call to action, that I want to be a part of change. And the reason we're so proud to be connecting this to MLK's dream, we're so proud to be connecting this to the dream unfinished, right? The 60th anniversary of MLK's March on Washington. Now we get to decide what we're going to do as we're committed to continuing the dream. And the exciting part is you don't have to make it up because we got a very clear roadmap. Here's the timeline. So on 8/28 was our kickoff. On 9/28, which is September 28th, it's the fourth Thursday of the month. We've been hosting this Better Together Empowerment series on the fourth Thursday of the month, starting in February was our first fourth Thursday of the month. So we've been doing it all year. And what happens when you get into the later months, right? The fourth Thursday becomes Thanksgiving. The fourth Thursday becomes Christmas, or too close to those dates. And so we now are going to be. Can you check the door? Just prop the door open. So what we're expecting to happen is on 9/28, there's going to be an official call to action. We're going to be live and we're going to be in person, and we're going to be ready and available to simply change the status quo. We're going to be ready and available to invite people to be a part of real change. That's on 9/28. And then we'll tell you all more about that. But then in October, November and December, what we're going to do is continuing the call to action. I just had a visitor join us. Would you like to show yourself? Or you can bring that. Is that another chair? Not this order, but not really. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come on now. We don't have a whole lot of light. We're working with what we got. Would you like to introduce yourself? Yeah, there's not a whole lot of flexibility here. But this is, I'll have you introduce yourself, Bernard. Come on down, get in the light. This is all we got. The best we got. So while he's getting himself together, what I will tell you is we got the August session, 8/28. Again, MLK's March on Washington, the date that Emmett Till also passed away. Ooh, he's brought more light. Illumination, baby. Ingenious. I love it. I love it. So 8/28, then we got 9/28 is going to be a call to action. Then 10/10, 11/11, and 12/12 are the dates. I've done this before because those dates are just easy to remember. It's earlier in the month. We don't have to worry about the holidays. So I'm just saying, mark your calendars. We are focused on 3 specific things as we kick off this broader initiative. Again, 10/10, 11/11, and 12/12 will be the next session. Awareness, action, and accountability. Those are the 3 things that we'll be focused on. So get yourself in the shot if you're going to be in the shot. There you go. Thank you. So it's 10/10, 11/11, and 12/12. Awareness, action, and accountability. So we were just talking about the Black MBA, who we are, the fact that we're here at the national conference. Why don't you tell them who you are and why this work that we're doing here at conference, especially during the leadership retreat, getting our leaders activated. Why is that so important?
Well, so I'm Bernard Walker. I'm the founding chapter president for the Seattle Portland, at that time, chapter of the National Black MBA Association. So I'm committed to this work. I guess 30 plus years in involvement with the National Black MBA Association. I'm committed to conscious transformation and change leader development. In order to create the society, business ecosystem we want, right? We have to be the designers, the creators, and implementers of that, and then help accelerate it and scale it. So that's the work that we have.
I love it. You heard it right here, folks. And so we have this series that we've been doing since February called the Better Together Empowerment Series. And we've been kind of easing into the conversation, making deep connections and community. So now we have about 50 organizations that are committed, community organizations, individuals like entrepreneurs, right, leaders in larger organizations that are committed to the Better Together Empowerment Series, committed to being a part of change. So we just talked about, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of MLK's March on Washington on 8/28. On 9/28, we're moving forward with an official call to action. October, November, and December, 10/10, 11/11, and 12/12, we're going to actually be continuing to, with awareness, action, and accountability, inviting people in to be a part of true change, to be a part of real change. Why is having some consistency and planfulness so important when you're starting a movement?
Well, so we need a strategy, and the strategy has to be directed by a vision of what type of, to use King's word, beloved community we want to create. Um, I'm an urban planner and a supply chain person. And in urban planning, we have this theory called the reproduction of social relations. The vernacular is known in the community as the fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, right? So we have to plant the seeds and nurture the seeds of a beloved community, an equitable community, an inclusive community, all of these things that lack in our current state of affairs. Um, the improvements that we have seen in this country is because individuals have committed their lives, right? Blood, sweat, prayers, tears, sacrifice to improve this so-called pursuit of a more perfect union. So you can stand or sit or go to sleep on the sideline, or you can get in and join the work of like-minded people of different persuasions with an understood or shared view of what uh, a beloved and equitable um, economy, community looks like and feels like.
Wow, that was deep. I love that. That was deep. He said you can join in if you want to, or you can sit on the sidelines. So what we're going to do differently about what we've done in the past, because were you here in 2017? I think you were in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in Africa for a while. So, hold please. Take off. So what we're going to do moving forward, that's going to be slightly different than what we've done in the past with prior think tanks, is we're going to be activated for an entire year. We're not just going to give you some academic information and say, here's the solution. Go forth and prosper. Good luck with that. No, no, no. We're creating a truly connected experience. I just want to make sure you're fully in the shot. So as we edit this for later. So what we're going to do is, again, we're going to provide a solution. We're going to provide a solution, a series of solutions, actually. Not that this is the only solution, but we're calling this a mountaintop experience. You know, MLK was about the mountaintop. He said, "I may not make it to the mountaintop, but I have a dream. I have a vision that we can all get there together." And so we are going to be committed to continuing his dream, and we're going to create our flavor of what success looks like. And what that looks like is the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully experience. And a little prayer and meditation, a lot of connecting with community, scientific proven methodology. That's really what it is, right? So we want to create a space where organizations who really are at the center, like we talked about, we're Washington Employees for Racial Equity. Uh, Whenever I talk about them, you get a little silent because you're like, and some people are like, there's a lot that has been done, and we're excited. I feel like it's a perfect plan. You have 80 to 100 of the top organizations in the state of Washington who would commit, and these are national companies, by the way. So what we do in Washington, right, is going to be really for everyone. You'll see these are the key banks, these are the Microsofts, this is the Boeings, right? It's major organizations, but they did another think tank. They identified that yes, there are many disparities for Black Washingtonians, and they committed to actually drive change, committed to being a part of the solution. And so, what I'm most excited about is we get to call to action, we get to initiate a call to action, a deeper collaboration with that group. So, the leaders of WEIR reached out to me initially and they said, we love what you're doing, we love the visibility, we want to bring this to you. So, we're leaders. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the revolution. And the revolution will be televised, as they say, right? And the revolution is loving. This revolution is kind. This revolution welcomes you to do all the things that you said, right? They talked about the things that we're focused on. They actually identified 7. You can go to WEIR. It's Washington Employers for Racial Equity. It's WERE. You can go to them online. They have a disparity study with research. They have a commitment. They have a whole bunch of things, but they also had 7 things that they said they wanted to do. 3 of those is really the foundation of our Better Together Empowerment series. So let me just tell you what we're focused on, and then we'll talk about each of them. Fostering inclusion in business and in life. Fostering a truly inclusive culture in business and in life. That impacts everything. That's where a lot of our trauma comes from. You were there with um, Melissa Brown last week, and we were talking to her on Thursday. Actually, we were talking to her about this, and you were actually with her last year. We were talking to Dr. Melissa Commodore, about fostering inclusion in business. And when people don't feel included, they're traumatized. Can you just tell a little bit about, like, maybe give a little bit more about the why this is more than just a benign unconscious bias conversation, but it's really about changing the lives of our people in a big way?
Well, so I think that when we address these issues, there are a number of different methods and perspectives for us to um, go from the mountaintop to down to where the people are and service the needs. Um, I think that this what they have stated is just the beginning of the conversation, and we own it to owe it to ourselves
Mm.
to define what our objectives are, what our
I call it
outcomes.
there you go. I call it a roadmap to success. So let me just be very clear. There's some great work happening, and we're going to elevate the voices of those who are doing great work. We also know that there's some challenges, and we're going to stand in the gap. If you're one of those corporations or an individual who works in one of those corporations, we're going to make it very, very visible who they are and invite those CEOs and those leaders to come have a conversation about what they're doing. This is the call to action. This is the loving call to action, right? And why the reason we're here is really to make sure that you know that there are solutions. If you're in one of those companies that made a grand declaration and you're like, that ain't my lived experience, then help is on the way. If you're one of those leaders like Erica Stricker, who I love, she was like chief operations officer for CBRE, major real estate company that supports Microsoft. And we'll bring some of her videos in, which I love. But she said, as one of the executives, right, leaders who've been benefited by the programs we do, but she's like, we have a hole in the bucket issue. She's like, we're doing the things, we're doing all the things, but if you look at the numbers don't lie. We still have a hole in the bucket issue. That means you can bring them in, but we don't want to stay. And we could mean women who don't want to stay in an environment that's maybe all men and they don't feel welcome. It could be Black people who don't want to stay. It could be any level of diversity, right? Any level of diversity and all levels of diversity. This is not about one thing. It's better together for all of us. So, one of our goals is to foster inclusion in business. The second goal, which is also aligned with Weir's goals, is to support Black business, Black wealth, and professional development for all, right? Think about how important that is. Why is the fact that National Black MBA not only focuses on leadership, but they also focus on entrepreneurship?
So, I mean, some of this, I think that we can customize some solutions. And um, there are some areas that we will work in collaboration with Weir, and then there are some activities that we have to establish in our own right. And we look to Weir and other organizations to work with us because we're not new to the issues of our community. Right? We've lived these experiences generation after generation. So I'm probably a little reticent on spilling all my goods for people I've not met yet. And I like their intentions, I like their statements, um, but I'm looking forward to discussing specific areas offline with key people and identifying short, long, and medium-term type strategies to see the outputs and outcomes and impacts that we know we need.
I love it. Y'all see why I have him around? He wants to have some conversations offline. Guess what? My conversations are going to be offline, but most of them are going to be online. Yes, we're inviting people to have this conversation as well as those back because we got a whole week worth of planning scheduled. Conversations, activations. It's going to be amazing. But this guy is a genius. I thought I was smart. I thought I connected a lot of dots. This guy connects more than I did. Literally, he is amazing. So I'm excited to have him as a part of the team. There's others who are going to be involved as well. But what I can tell you specifically is that we are going to drive change. Let me tell you about the third objective of the Better Together Empowerment Series, the focus area. Again, we talked about fostering inclusion in business and in life. That's everything for everyone, right? It's interesting when people say Black Lives Matter and all lives matter. I just want to take a moment because I just feel like it's important. Um, I think all lives do matter. Of course, all lives matter. White lives matter. And the reason people say Black lives matter is not because, in my mind, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else, but I can speak for myself, right? when people talk about the Black Lives Matter concept, it's only because they're like, this house happens to be on fire, right? And so if you're in a neighborhood and one house is on fire in a number of different ways, then it's like, hey, let's put some water over here on this house. It's not that the other house is unimportant. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. I got a little DM from someone earlier and they asked me what I thought about it. And I typically don't do, I'm not political at all, like at all. Like I don't care about party of red, the party of blue. I'm the party of purple. I've coined that term. Like we got to find the things where that are in common, right? Because if this person is your enemy out the jump, out the gate, out the start, then you're not going to really look to find solutions. You're not going to look to find a common ground. So I'm like, come as you are, come who you are, with whatever, right? We are going to be focused on solutions. We're going to be focused on changing the status quo. So back to our 3 objectives. 1, fostering inclusion in business. Number 2, focus on Black business, Black wealth, and professional development. And number 3, youth. Youth development, community development, youth empowerment, community empowerment. Everyone deserves to be able to live their very best life. Everyone deserves to be able to fulfill their potential. And I know mindset is, we both share this passion for mindset and neuroscience. And what the Living Powerfully experience is about is a book called the 2 things. The Positive Intelligence is one. So the Living Powerfully experience, to finish that statement, it's with positive intelligence and a proprietary methodology that I have called transformational inclusive leadership. But positive intelligence is the foundation. That's what we're going to do for free in community to help youth and help our community literally be able to live their best lives, to be able to thrive through neuroscience, cognitive behavioral psychology, positive psychology, and performance science. So if you want to change the status quo, if you want to have higher performance, better relationships, better conflict management, better improved wellness, less stress, it's all the things. It sounds ridiculous that it could be all the things, but it's guaranteed to be all those things. Scientifically proven. So that's what we're going to be bringing into the Better Together Empowerment series as we focus on all the other things. Because if you think about it, we've been talking about creating an inclusive culture for decades. That's never going to work unless you have some new foundation, a new paradigm shift, right? And so positive intelligence actually provides that paradigm shift. So even if you really don't care about diversity and inclusion, if you care about having your employees more engaged, if you care about having your employees more optimized, right, in every way, home and life, and in communications and conflict and all the things. That's what positive intelligence is about. So we're going to set that as a foundation, and then we're going to build on it. So the Mountaintop Experience says those people who are ready to activate, right? We're going to ask you to do just that. I'm going to give you an email real quick. It's Traci, Traci, at itsallbiggerthanme.com. We also have a website. It's seattleblackmba.org, seattleblackmba.org. We're still updating the website, which is why I was slightly hesitant. There's some stuff you can register for the event on 9/28. There's probably some videos that we're still building all that stuff out. But we're also open to sponsors and support. I don't do that well. I don't do that often, but I just want to put it out there. We're open to that as well. But we're going to be doing a call to action, whether we get another dollar or not, because we are here for community, and that is really exciting. So, talk a little bit about mindset. When you think about living powerfully in mindset, tell us a little bit about what that means to you.
Well, everything comes from mindset. So, I mean, it's foundation. So, can you say? So, change mindset means change thinking, change actions, change behavior. And I can leave it at that.
Mm, mm, I love it. Change everything. We change beliefs. So as a transformational coach, we focus on changing beliefs, right? Changing thoughts. Beliefs lead to your thoughts lead to your emotions or your feelings lead to your actions, and it's your actions that lead to the results. So it's those 5, we call them the 5 primary drivers of the human mind, the human brain, and all of your actions. Beliefs are at the core. So we get to the core, we get to the foundation, and that's how we're going to drive change. So if you're interested, we're going to have a session that's going to start in October. So throughout 9/28, we're going to do a small group. You have to apply to get in because we're only looking for people who really are intentional, who really have a need and a purpose, who are being purposeful. So it's going to be a very small group. super excited about bringing change to organizations because this is the accountability part. In our prior think tanks, we brought companies together and we said, you know what, it'd be great if this was better. Now we're saying we have a solution that will make it better, that will ensure that outcomes that occur when someone is excluded. There's now a different paradigm, a different profile. There's like specific steps. I did in my methodology, I called them a bigger than me moment. Right? If you and I had some conflict within the workplace, and if we wanted to learn from that and help others to learn from it too, those are bigger than me moments in my mind, right? But there's a process through positive intelligence that allows you to address conflict, to build relationships, to build trust. And trust is so important. And so that's really why we're saying before you even get to inclusion, you got to fix yourself before you're trying to fix a culture in an organization. Not fix yourself, but invest in being your best self. So that's what I'm super excited about. If you had to say to someone, I know we have to take a break here for to give them time to put in a commercial or something here, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any thoughts that you have about holding organizations, and I use this term, lovingly accountable for what they say they want. And now that we're going to have a platform, a process that will guarantee your success if you do the work. In my mind, what I'm saying, Bernard, is if you don't do it, that means you're not creating a safe space for your employees. That means you're really not committed. No pressure. No pressure. But if we're saying here's some options and here's something you can do, and you're like, I'm good, or I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing because I know I'm going to get the same results. Not a problem because this ain't for you. This is only for those people who are like, I am sick and tired of not getting the outcome. Erica Stricker, this is for you. Rachel Green, I know you are one of my favorite stories. You're the video I was going to share. Rachel shares a video or story about being sent into the woods. Have you heard her tell this story? Being sent into the woods. I can't. I'm not even going to tell it because she tells it better. But not being fully equipped to drive change. So if you had to talk to someone who had suffered, like Melissa Brown did the other day, someone who has suffered trauma in the workplace, Bernard, what exactly would you want to say lovingly to them about what's possible, a new future? Are you optimistic?
Well, I mean, we have different methods and tactics of how we want to achieve this goal. I think that years ago I attended a workshop that was by referral, and it talked about being really intentional about which people that you work with. I mean, on one level, we're open to working with people. Um, People have to have like mindset and uh, the willingness to release a lot of baggage um, um, that can, if not slow down the trip, actually derail the trip to transformation. So I am definitely supportive of people owning their stuff. Um, I'm also more committed to people spending a lot more energy on the future that we want, and making that happen through every thought, word, feeling, and deed. That's what I'm focusing on.
Wow. Well, y'all, we've had a really long day. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Black MBA conference and what we're in store for? We're going to be trying to do some videos on the spot to take you on a journey with us. So join us throughout the week. We'll be here. We'll be recording various elements live. Tomorrow we're in another day of leadership retreat. So all the leaders from the chapters are together, and then we'll be live. The conference is officially live on Wednesday, or is it Tuesday night? Is there a welcome reception tomorrow night? Wednesday night. Wednesday night. It's official on Wednesday. Tell people what you're most excited about.
Well, I've not been. Last year was the first time that I've been back to the conference after, I guess, 8, 9 years. So,
And that's because he was out of the country, not because he didn't want to be here.
so this is a family reunion. So first and foremost, I'm happy to meet or see people I haven't seen in a while, and then to see with this current cohort of leaders is experiencing and what we're willing to commit to. So we're looking to occupy the dream.
Mm. Occupy the dream. And then we are leaving, and with a few others, we're going to be leaving here, leaving the National Black MBA Association in Philly, and going to the Congressional Black Caucus. And I say that I'm not political. It's because I'm not political, right? But I do realize that there are certain people who are in the political realm who are driving true change. And so I'm excited to be there. I'm excited to go to participate, to connect, to network, to talk about the Better Together Empowerment Series, to invite people to be a part of it. And you know everybody. Like every place I go with Bernard, he is like in it. Like you said, it's a reunion. Why is it important that? Why was it so important that we decide to really immerse ourselves into this community of true leaders and change makers?
To be simple, we model the change that we want to bring.
Mm.
So they have power and position and people, and we need to be in the mix.
Well, you heard it here, folks. We need to be in the mix. I love it. I love it. So we just wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say thank you. I could not be more grateful. At this point, we are going to
I know.
officially sign off with the declaration that there's so much more to come. This is Dr. Traci Harrell, and I'm here with my friend, colleague, advisor. So grateful to be a part of this community. So your next step is to email us. Email me if you're interested in being part of a true change. It's Traci, Traci. I'll put it in the chat, I think. Yep, I'll put it in the chat. Traci at itsallbiggerthanme.com. And we'll talk. It's okay. I'll put it in the chat before we go. And there's more. There's more. There's so much more to come. We are going to invite you to participate in a video ask where we're going to talk about we're going to talk about the Martin Luther King. We're going to ask you questions. It was 6 questions, 2 minutes response on a video. And we're going to ask you to really respond to questions like, what does the dream unfinished mean to you? What are you going to do to how are you going to be committed to continuing the dream? We're going to talk to you. We want to hear from each of you because we're doing an official documentary. So I'll put that online as well during our next session. My producer had a conflict, so the videos I wanted to share, I thought I would just set some groundwork. So I've had people ask me, so what is your show going to be about? So this is it, people. We're laying the groundwork, and we have change. We have specific change and ways that this organization, the National Black MBA, and many others, your organization, can truly be a part of change. So that's it. More to come. Thanks.